So
it's sad. It's sad because, like I was saying before, everyone should be getting along.
Exactly, but I mean, he's not the first director. I know Paul Feig.
Yeah.
Was on Twitter attacking fans and, well, if you don't like my Ghostbusters reboot, too bad.
Yeah, he just should have stayed doing The Office. That's where I liked him the best. I think after that he kind of, like this Ghostbusters movie, I don't see the need for it. I really don't.
Speaking of, what do you think of the trailer?
Oh, the new trailer that was with Superman?
Both.
I don't know, I can't get into it. I just can't get it. I don't get it. I'm old now. As kids keep pointing out to me, I'm old, so I don't know what I'm talking about. Which is exactly what I said when I was young. But, but like, I just don't get it. It's like they wasted such, the gold mine they would have been standing on if they would have just continued where they left off. Like, the gold mine, man. Because I saw an interview last week and they were saying what makes Ghostbusters work is those actors. You can't break up that team. And as much as I like Melissa McCarthy and all these other people, it's not that formula. Those movies work because those are certain actors. That plays off of Caddyshack and Stripes and all these other things. So it's just man, it's just a wasted opportunity because they would have made 10 times the amount of money off of this movie coming out if they would have stuck to the original scripts, especially with CERN and like things that are in the world today, like they were gonna originally do. They lost out on so much. So much.
Yeah. It's just weird that as much as this reboot tries to be their own thing, but you still acknowledge that there was a team before you, and I don't want to hear the excuses because I know people are going to lash out with, oh, you're sexist, and that's kind of the hook of this. The excuse for this one, because if you don't like it, you're a sexist.
Yeah, everyone's getting hit with that. That's funny. It's funny because it has nothing to do with sex. It has nothing to do with that they're girls. It's because we grew up with a certain formula and we want to see that formula. We don't want to see them. Just the fact that it took so long, and every other year we were hearing we were going to get it. And it was going to be bigger than the other ones and better than the other ones. And we heard that it was going to happen. And, Bill Murray's almost going to do it every other month. And then we finally get a yes. And Bill Murray says, I'm finally going to do it. And we lose, not only do we lose Harold Ramis, which was fucking devastating. But then they fucking they throw out everything they worked so hard for to get it greenlit in the first place.
Well, there was a story in a book I had. I gave it to the other Matt, but Dan Aykroyd had sent Bill Murray a script, and he put it through the shredder, and he put it. I guess he may have put it in an envelope, sent it back to Dan Aykroyd, and there was a footnote that says no one wants to see old fat guys chasing ghosts.
Oh man.
So, I mean, who knows what was in that script? But you know what? I would take that over this freaking reboot. It's nothing to do with women. You can get Ben Stiller's crew in there of Ben Stiller, Owen Wilson, Jack Black, and I would still pwn it. I would still lash at it.
Yeah.
Same thing with Adam Sandler's crew. If you got Adam Sandler, David Spade, Rob Schneider, Kevin James, I would still lash at it, and I would hold no punches.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with them being of a different gender.
Man, they could put Sly in this movie, and I still would be the same. Because I've waited so long, such a big part of my life was anticipating this movie, and then they threw our dreams right out the window, every kid who's wanted to see this since Ghostbusters 2, which these kids were probably not even alive for, what the hell, I was reading up on like a lot of the early development for it, and it had something to do with CERN. But they didn't say CERN exactly, but they said everything that CERN was in a different location. In I want to say Columbia. What's the there's like a like where they worked originally, like that school or that university. I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, they had this storyline where they were gonna open a portal to hell, and the Ghostbusters were gonna go there and get trapped there in hell, and then come back from hell.
Yeah, I heard something about that. I ain't too familiar with that story.
They touch on it a bit in the video game. Like, they touch on it, but when you look into the history behind what they were writing about, it's fascinating. It's, there's a place in Switzerland called CERN, for people who don't know. And it's pretty much the biggest particle accelerator in the world. And what they do is they smash atoms together. It's like miles and miles and miles and miles and miles and miles and miles, both underground and wide underground. And they send out particles in both directions at like some subatomic speed, and they collide together. And through that, they're trying to figure out the effects of the Big Bang. They're trying to recreate the Big Bang. And a lot of these astrophysicists like Neil deGrasse Tyson and Stephen Hawking say that if they do that, not only can they create black holes if it goes wrong, which could swallow up the whole Earth, but in essence, open up parallel dimensions. Which sounds crazy, but scientifically it's been proven. So, they just haven't, I don't know if they haven't revealed it, I don't know if they've done it or whatever. There's a lot of speculations, a lot of rumors, whatever. I know I'm going to sound like I'm crazy, but yeah, so that's pretty much what the whole Ghostbusters thing was about. And what else is cool is at this place where the machine is built underground, on top, like where the building is, they have all these statues of like Shiva, like the god of death and destruction, and all these crazy satanic statues outside.
Really?
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. And Dan Aykroyd wrote Ghostbusters, like the new Ghostbusters Go to Hell, based on that. And then they fired that motherfucking thing up like a couple of years ago, and then they fired it up this year again. And they said that they found some things like some things that had to do with the God particle and stuff like that. So that's pretty crazy. Like, that's insane.
That's crazy.
So that would have been an amazing movie, because part of it's based on truth, and you know, it goes back to what they were trying to do in the first place, right? Like the original Ghostbusters was Ghost Mashers, and they had like these wand things, and they would go to different dimensions to fight entities and then come back. Which is the original.
What are your thoughts, like, on the people that want to use, well, it's for a new generation?
Well, unfortunately, you know, we gotta pass the torch at some point. But it's just it's like killing off a family tree. You know, it's like, why waste something that you could still pass on to the next generation? You know, like I would love to see a Ghostbusters movie with my kids where, you know, their new generation that they can see is something that's based on my generation. Then go home and watch, you know, the old movies. You know, have it all tied together.
You mentioned the family tree. It's like a lightning strike to the family tree.
Yeah, yeah. It's like castration, man.
Yeah, I feel castrated. Like
these female Ghostbusters castrated the fucking.
Like Peter Pan says, we have no dick.
That's why they're female Ghostbusters.
Yeah, but for the people who want to use that, let me make a point here.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the same generation that saw Fright Night remake and Conan Barbarian remake. This is the same generation that rather stay at home and watch Netflix. I mean, honestly, do they really care about this movie?
I don't think so. I think it's like when, like when 20 or 30 people say one thing, and you want to be cool, so you jump in on it.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
I mean, you're right. The new generation, they'd rather be on Facebook or Instagram in the theater than watch the movie.
Yeah.
They'd rather stay at home and binge watch Netflix. So that's the new generation for you, and I just don't buy that.
Yeah, like it's sad that all of us, like our whole group of people that we know who we do this with, we all have very genuine reasons for not liking this movie. And everyone else just shits on all of us. Because, like...
Yeah, because they make it political or something.
Yeah.
Like that. I mean, it's not... I don't know.
It's just one of those. Oh. And you know what's going to suck? And then a day later, all those people are going to be like, oh, I told you it sucked. I don't want... Okay, well, I'm not going to be the... In my opinion, I'll say, because a lot of people jump on me for that, but I'll say, in my opinion, that's what my opinion is. I'm not trying to judge the movie before it comes out. Who knows? Maybe it will be good, but I don't think it will be good for the right reasons. Like, I wanted to see a Ghostbusters movie that I could return to that world and get lost in that fantasy and remember what it was like to be a little kid and fall in love with those characters all over again for maybe the last ride. Even, you know what? Even if they were just cameos, like 2 seconds of Winston and 2 seconds of Race Dance, and Venkman, I would love it. I would love it.
Well, there is cameos, but not the characters.
Yeah, I heard something like... At first I heard that all the characters who were in there were going to be different people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Dan Aykroyd's character is going to be a cab driver.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so weird. It's like, oh... Such a wasted opportunity, man.
Isn't it so? I mean, to be honest, it's like a slap in the face.
The only thing that will save it for me for this movie is because they give you a little clue. 30 years ago in the trailer, they say 30 years ago, this happened, blah, 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 blah.
But they can't even get that right because 30 years ago was 1986.
But, like, the only thing that will save it for me is if they fucking pull a 360 and... These cameos, like Ray Stantz being Dan Aykroyd being a character, was actually Ray Stantz as a cab driver. That will save it for me. But, the chances of that.
Yeah, because that's what I know that fans have said. Oh, what are the characters, and they surprise us at the end. I'm like, how many remakes have we been through? And they said that they were going to surprise us and blow us away. And they didn't do. RoboCop didn't do that. Elm Street didn't do that. And I mean, you can have a Robert Englund cameo in Elm Street remake, and it still would have sucked cock. And
yeah, I was watching a fucking Jackie Earle Haley movie the other day with Tom Cruise called Losing It. I don't know if you've seen that.
I haven't seen it.
They were like young. They were like fucking 17, 18, and they go to Mexico. It was pretty good.
Oh.
Just thought I'd throw that in there. But
No.
yeah, like the only way they're saving Ghostbusters for me is if those characters were like they're actual characters, and they were just like giving us half the truth right now, like saying, okay, well, they're this character, but actually they're this character and this character. Like I heard a rumor that Bill Murray was gonna be like a Walter Peckish character,